Welcome back to the Derek Smith Spiel. This episode is for all the gamblers out there, maybe the aspiring gamblers more so than the seasoned gamblers. This is about my first trip to the casino. But before I get into it, let's make a deal. If you're listening to this and you like what you hear, go ahead, and if you're listening on YouTube, like and subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify, follow and hit the bell for notifications for my podcasts that come out every Wednesday at 10 a.m. But getting into it, my first trip to the casino, man, this was a highly anticipated moment of my life. I'd say right up there with no, I wouldn't say it's right up there with driving my first car. I don't want to sound that crazy. I don't want to sound like that much of a degenerate. It really wasn't that big of a deal, but it was an anticipated moment. What sucks is I still can't play card games. You can't play card games until you're 21 in the state of New York. So it was just a slots trip to the casino. But I still couldn't wait. I was expecting to go in there and it was just going to be a crazy environment of bells, whistles, people jumping for joy after winning, some person crying in the corner after losing their life savings. People my age, I was expecting just a room full of so many emotions that it could change based on who you walked by. Anticipations were very high. I went with a couple of friends. We were actually going kind of as a celebratory day. We were thinking, it's harder now and everyone's in college doing their own thing. So it was like a get together, everyone go to the casino. It was all of our first time going to the casino. Quite a ceremonial moment. But this is what happened. We took the 30-minute ride up to the casino, just talking about what we were going to do, how we were going to be able to retire right after this trip. We all had, I don't know, like maybe $100 to spend. We were going to turn that into $100,000, let me tell you. We had all these plans, our plan of attack. We were ready. After the drive and we game planned, we walked in and our plan went out the window. We walked in and all you had to do was show ID to get into the room. And this room was just one giant floor of slots. And you walked in and you were slammed in the face with this. There wasn't a bad odor, but it was almost like the smell of nothing, which doesn't make any sense. But if you walk in, you'll know what I mean. It's just a weird environment. You walk in, there's almost no lighting. It's kind of dark except for all the lights on the slot machines, and you look around, and the first thing I noticed after that is there were no other 18-year-olds. It was all like 60-year-old men and women just pressing buttons and staring at screens. I was like, what the hell is this? Are you serious? It's a button press? You don't pull the lever down? There's nobody my age. I don't belong here. We were the only 3 18-year-olds in that casino. Everyone else was older. I had to choose my language wisely. I don't want to offend the generation prior to me. Everyone in the casino was at least 55 or older, and they were just sitting back, pressing buttons. Lifeless look in their eye. They were just pressing buttons, watching the screen like that the whole day. We walked in the back. There were so many machines, we didn't even know what to do. We didn't know. We just didn't know. We had our money ready. And we kind of walked around the whole floor just to get a layout of what kind of games there were, what we wanted to play. There was an area reserved for people 21 and older who wanted to drink. And we couldn't check in there. We just kind of like peeked through the glass like little kids at a candy store trying to see what was going on back there. it was just the same stuff with alcohol, which, I mean, winning is hard enough when you're sober. I can't imagine gambling when you're drunk. We walked in, we scoped the whole casino out, and we decided, okay, this slot looks cool. There were some flying pigs on it or something. We were like, let's sit down and give this slot a try. Well, my friend sat down, and he put $10 in. Not much on the line. He put $10 in, and he hit spin, and he lost. He was like, dang it. And he hit spin again, and it said, put more money in. He was like, what the hell's going on? What do you mean put more money in? He looked down, and it was a $10 per spin slot. So we learned in the most harsh way that you really have to make sure that you're sitting down at the right slot machine before you get started. I didn't even know slots went up that high. I thought they were all like quarters and dollars. No, there are some high stakes slots out there. And there were some old people really we walked by, and I don't know if it's proper gambling etiquette, but we were looking over the shoulders of some of the older people gambling, and they were $100 spins, just clicking the button. Not even, you just saw their money plummeting by the hundreds. And we were like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, how are you comfortable doing that? $100 from doing that. Whoops. It was unbelievable. We did end up we found, I believe, an 88-cent per spin, something kind of weird like that. We sat at that one for a while. My first spin, I had some luck. I won about $15 on that one. And then I cashed out. Then we got bored of that slot. I mean, in general, we learned that we just aren't really slot people. So we went to this next machine, which was more of a traditional slot machine. Not the sevens and cherries, but like the, I guess, Wild West theme, like Buffalo type theme. We went on that one. And that one I did not have good luck. I remember I got up like 20 cents, but I was like, more than 20 cents. Then next thing you know, my $5 was gone. And from that moment, I learned why people say you can't go broke taking a profit. I was like, okay, from now on, if I make profit, I'm just cashing out. Well, one of my friends had no luck. It was kind of brutal to watch. He was looking over at, me winning at $5, like some still winning, or my money wasn't moving very much. I ended up walking out with about the same that I walked in with. But my other friend, I went with two friends. My one friend wasn't winning anything. He was watching his money just plummet, and he was like, well, this isn't fucking fun. I'm just putting money into a machine and pressing the buttons, and each time I press the button, it's like, I'll just take 5 more of your dollars. No, but we were at this traditional slot machine, and my other friend, who hadn't had much luck that day until this point, he hit a spin, and I can't even tell you how all the wilds work. There were like these random wilds. He got a bonus, and that fucker gave him like 11 free spins, and from like one spin and the 11 free spins, he ended up getting 15 free spins, and he won big. It was like he put $5 in. He ended up winning like $50, but the whole time he was back there, he was kind of making a scene. I'll move the mic up so I can get into the theatrics. My friend was back there. He hit spin. He was watching it. He was like, oh. He started slamming his chair. He was like, oh my god, free spin. And he was getting into it. And he was like, oh my god, another $20, guys, look at this. And he came over, he was screaming, shouting. And I was like, this is pretty cool. I was getting into it too. But I looked over my shoulder and I saw this old lady. She was at her slot machine right here to the left of us. You can't watch. And I saw her just look over her shoulder at my friends and myself. And she had a look of disgust that I cannot even describe. That was probably the second gambling etiquette we broke. First, we were looking at what other gamblers were waging. Second, we made a scene when we won big. And I could just see that the look in that old lady's face was saying, these fucking 18-year-olds, first time in the casino, and that little shit's winning $50 and rubbing it in my face. I've been here for 4 years. Just in today alone, I've been here since this casino opened. I've been here from 8 a.m. It's 1 p.m. now, and I haven't won shit. And this is the problem with the next generation right here. They always tell me what you get in, what you get out is what you put in. Well, I've put in 500 today, and I haven't won shit. 500 is probably a low estimate. She was pissed. And after that big win, we kind of read the room and we were like, oh, it's time to go to some different slots here. But no, as I was playing these slots, it was a weird feeling because you were playing the slot machine and you would be sitting in this chair almost like you were in a little arcade game, and you would press a button and watch the screen and see that you didn't win anything, and you would get this feeling inside you like I shouldn't be doing this, but I want to keep doing this. It was such a conflicting, weird feeling. You were sitting there in your chair, like, and your mind was split in two. It was because it's only two options. It's cash out or keep putting more in. And as you're losing your money, you're like, I should probably cash out. I probably should have never put money in this machine in the first place. But there's something about it that just keeps you in that chair. I understood gambling addiction, that it was a thing. I didn't understand why until I sat in one of those slot machine chairs, because it's just a conflicting feeling. It's weird. Very weird. I will say the best slot machine there was, I believe it was just called a poker slot. There were 5 columns, or yeah, the ones that go up, and there were 5 columns, and all of them were cards, and you'd hit spin, and it would give you 5 random cards, and you got to choose what cards you would keep, and your goal was to build the best poker hand. And that was just my favorite slot machine because it made me feel like I had better odds, or I could create more odds. It felt more gamey than just pressing a button and watching everything spin and give you just a completely random draw. That's what it felt like to me. I realized that my chances were probably not much better playing that poker game, but it just felt a little more gamified, and it gave me the sense of illusion that I was somewhat in control of what I was doing. And it was fun. I'm a fan of poker. It was a cool strategy to see. Basically, unless you got 2 pair, if you got 2 pair, it gave you your money back. Anything higher, I believe, then it would start giving you, then you would start winning. That one was fun. That one was pretty fun. But as I was in there, it was you know, the friend I had that didn't have much luck, he when he realized that that day wasn't his day, that he wasn't gonna win much, he kind of stopped putting money in. Another good thing about the poker machine is it was 25 cents a bet, which was pretty sweet. At the lowest, you could increase it, so you were paying more a bet, but at the lowest, it was 25 cents a bet. Pretty sweet. So we stayed at that one for a while. We were like, hey, this is more our pace. We're just throwing quarters in this machine. It's like playing an arcade game. That was a lot better. But my friend who didn't have very good luck that day, he was sitting back and he looked over and he said, you know, they set this up so it's like a trap. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, well, you walk into this room and there's no clocks on the walls, so you can't tell what time it is. There's no windows. You're just trapped in a room, so you have no idea, even looking at the sun, how long you've been in here or what time it is. And there's not even any music to give you a sense of time. Like this whole environment is strategically designed to keep you in here for as long as possible. And I was like, no shit. I didn't even think about that. The only music in that room was the music from the slot machines. And when we were at the poker slot, which we spent the most time at, there was some old guy in the slot behind us just pressing away at the button, watching his life savings disappear. And it played the same circus song on loop over and over and over. And man, that was annoying. The Yeah. Yeah, not only was everyone in there old, they were also miserable. They there was nobody smiling in there. Even when they won, they weren't smiling. It was like it was like a relief for them. It I think everyone should just go once to understand the weird vibes in there. It Man, it was odd. But I will say, man, the best feeling is when you put your money into the slot, and then when you cash out, it gives you a ticket. Then you bring that ticket to a machine, and the machine will spit out the dollars you have on that ticket back to you. Now that was the best feeling, when you put a ticket in that machine and it just spit out cash. Ah, that was awesome. That hands down the best part of the casino. If you want to go in there and just throw $50 into a slot machine, one spin, cash out, and just to see that money come out of the machine, that was the best part of the casino. But yeah, it was an experience. It was not what I expected. It was not the It was an odd environment, one of one for sure. And afterwards, we went to Applebee's. We went from a room full of old miserable people to a room full of happy families. It was got a little bit of everything that day. It was something else. But that was my first trip to the casino. That's all I've got for you this week. Like I said earlier, if you enjoyed listening, if you're listening on Spotify, go ahead and follow and hit that notification bell so that you are notified every Wednesday at 10 a.m. when I come out with these podcasts. If you are listening on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe, and you can hit the bell there so you're notified every week when your guy comes out with another podcast. If you don't like listening to the full episodes, you can listen to the shorts that I post on Instagram at Derek Smithstock13 and that I post on TikTok at Smithstock5. 5. Also, if you're, I do have to, yeah, but I've been forgetting to add the channel itself. You can find it on Spotify simply by searching the Derek Smith Spiel. You can find it on YouTube at Derek Smith Stock 13. And of course, don't forget to go and like and subscribe to Dylan Smith Outdoors at Dylan Smith Outdoors 8459. Thank you for listening.